Okay, so here we are back in the kitchen, and you can see that they pulled the form away from the wall where they filled in the void for the pizza oven that they took out the other day. And that concrete's all nice and set up. And over to the right here, through the doorway into what's going to be part half kitchen and half bathroom, they're putting in the new beams for the floor in that room. And down below that level will be the Hobbit room. Here you can see Salvatore pulling the beam through one of the openings that they've knocked out. And it was so funny earlier today when we were sitting in the piazza, a big truck drove by with Salvatore waving at us, and on the back were all the beams and the wood. And so I quickly finished my cornetta and raced up there because these guys work fast. And by the time I got there, they already had the beams unloaded and one of them actually positioned. Since they, have to manhandle these things, they have a bunch of scaffolding down below, and they call Salvatore a goat because he's able to walk on all these scaffolds without any big deal. It's so funny to watch these guys work. They're just like ballet. They work so well together. So they pull it in one way, move the beam over. Salvatore's manhandling it on his shoulder and moving it across and sticking it on the ledger. These beams get put up on concrete ledgers that are already poured and leveled. And so when they set them down, they are exactly in the right position vertically. And then they come back around with the tape measure and make sure that they're evenly spaced, and then they start filling in the voids between them with concrete. Now this wall that you're looking at, I didn't even see it. It was formed yesterday, and they filled it in to create the final ledger on the flooring. I don't know if they have that beam yet. Here I'm taking you into the ballroom where they have it set up to do the rebar bending, and you can see a bunch of rebar on the ground, and then they have this jig that they use to bend all of the rebar. They call them dowels here. And of course, everything gets tied into the existing structure using these pieces of steel rebar. And of course, the ballroom is looking pretty sad. Anyway, back in the kitchen here, you notice I just walked down the hall and came back, and there were 2 more beams already put in place. So all 4 of them were put in place within about 30 minutes. And they're exactly level. It is amazing what these guys do. So here I've got a picture of the back wall of that room that they were working in, and that fireplace there in the corner has to come out because that's going to be a doorway into the master bedroom bath area. So that unfortunately it's a nice looking fireplace, but it's gonna go, and they'll do that once they have the floor in the next room. The last step here before I cut off is they're filling in between the beams with some wooden forms so they can pour the concrete between the beams and get them all set in place. And they cut pieces of wood exactly the right width and stick them down in there and hammer them in. And the place that they're standing or working, actually, that opening is going to be a part of an arched opening into the addition to the kitchen. And so the kitchen will be about 1.5 times the size of this room that you're standing in right now. It should be really nice. That arch takes you into an area where would be the stove and the oven and some more counter space and whatnot. Ciao, ciao.